Good evening, everyone. This is Pounding the Meat, and I am Vinny Vegas. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. We have a big show. We have an exciting show. There's been a lot of talk, a lot of discussion, a lot of messages I've gotten along with my co-host, Eddie. We're excited. We're excited. I'll put it that way. But before anything, let me just do a cheap plug real quick. We have a few shirts. You can pick them up. You can check them out. They are at getmymeat.com. And here they are right here. Those are the shirts. If you want to pick some up, if you like any, they support the show. But other than that, let's get to it. I would like to bring on my co-host of the evening. Everyone knows who this guy is. He makes his rounds. Here he is, the one and only Eddie Williams. How are you, Eddie?
Hey, what's going on, Vinny? How's it going, Belt Hobby? I'm doing good.
It's a beautiful night. It's a beautiful evening outside, and I'm excited for tonight. We have a lot in store for these guys. We've done our research. We've talked to some people, good, bad, in the middle, and we've got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, I do. I want to point out there's a lot of great makers in this hobby. We are going to talk about ORM and Classic Shields, of course, but there's a lot of people I want to say that have evolved. If you go back 4 years to say Classic Shields or ORM, there's makers right now that were where they were 3 or 4 years ago. So that's exciting for the hobby. You got a lot of choices. We'll go over, like you said, a couple of them today. Two of the best, if not the best, right now.
I don't know if we got a lot of people here. I'm going to say hi to some of the people real quick. Let's see. Reginald, what's up, man? How are you? Love the hat. Steel City. How are you, buddy? Josh Hammer, what's up, man?
What's up, brother?
Rolando, what up, guys? There's a lot of comments. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of people here right now, and this is awesome. The community is coming together just to have a cool discussion and get some information. Now, a lot of you guys might be new. You may not even know who ORM and Classic Shields are, and that's why we want to let you know that there's a belt for everybody. There's makers for everyone in your price range. We're just talking tonight about the two upper echelon, the two elite makers out there, the ones that do the best work, in our opinion.
Right.
But Eddie, there are makers out there, like you said, that fit the budget. You know what I'm saying?
I think what gets lost in the wayside, we're going to be even on this review too. This isn't a slam or, it's both ways. It's both even, which I believe that, Vinny has let you guys know that. But a lot of these other makers, for the dollar amount, for the time, for the work overall that you're getting, there's a lot of other options. Of course, you have like Mateen and ELT belts, with Dustin King, that's a great option. You have myself and Mian, we're happy to be there for you guys. You have Muhammad Nawaz, you have Sami Malik, you have Ashim Huznan, who, by the way, which we'll talk about before, like, I'm sure we'll talk through this whole hour about, he put up a post recently, I think Richard Bergeron is his name, of a smoking skull that was, Hashim's. Real nice. But I just think the atmosphere, some people are afraid to comment and say they like it. If it doesn't go with the narrative, are they going to get bashed for liking a particular maker? So those makers are out there. They're getting better. I've seen a huge evolution from the last 4 years to now, which I'm sure a lot of you have. There's a lot of great makers, basically, so don't just stick to a couple. You look at your price range and what's best for you guys overall, not what Vinny's isn't mine and vice versa.
Explore, you know what I'm saying? Explore.
Yeah.
First, we're going to begin with Classic Shields, regarded as one of the best in the game right now. I mean, their work is unprecedented. It's beautiful. It's craftsmanship. And before we get into Classic Shields, I want to play a little video of their work so you guys can check it out. If you're newer and you don't know who they are, well, here you go. Bro.
I felt like I was watching Pornhub and my wife was going to walk in at any time.
Yeah, man. I made sure the door was locked. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Yo, beautiful stuff, man. Beautiful stuff.
Right.
That is Classic Shields. I mean, how can you not say that they're the best, man? Just from those photos. They take the fucking best photos too, don't they?
I mean, I think that's where Josh Hammer, because he's good buddies with Muhammad there. I think that's where he got his pictures at, his technique anyway, because they do both do fantastic work.
Dude, it's insane. Yo, right, belt porn, get the tissues, man.
Like,
get the lube, get everything, bro.
I was sitting back there. I was like, wow, don't end.
Yo, it gave me goosebumps making it, bro. I mean, it's beautiful stuff. What's up, Matt? How are you, buddy? But let's get into Classic Shields a little bit. You would know more than me, Eddie. You've been in the hobby longer than I have. I'm still fairly new to the hobby, but I do own a Classic Shields and I do own an ORM. So I can say from experience what their work is like, firsthand. But what do you know about Classic Shields that most may not?
I actually, a lot of people don't know, but I actually have 10 CS belts, different ones. I got one on the way, which is United National that David Von Erich wore over in Japan, that they are making, which is beautiful. And it's one of the things that keeps them apart from the other makers. They do cast work, pure HD work and stuff like that. So I'm excited for that. I, of course, have the Ultimate Crumrine, which, I will have to say but hands down right now, they're still the champions as far as that goes. ORM, which we'll talk about, is coming up on that. But as far as the experiences that I've had, they've came a long way in 4 years. I think when they came on strong, the stigma 4 or 5 years ago, you can even go back on YouTube where it's basically like, don't ever go overseas. Don't ever go overseas. Stay American, stay American. I think that's why a lot of guys now, it's still an adjustment for them because they remember how it used to be. And makers just weren't as good as they were. Not even Classic Shields. Their leather was so back then. The plates were nice. Like I said, there's makers right now that do the work they did 4 years ago. So that's why I say it's evolving.
Right.
But I think that now, when I first got in the hobby, we'll just say, I went to Mateen. I wanted to get belts fast, belts that were nice, quality, which they are. And I didn't want to pay a bunch of money for them. That's what a lot of people, they get in, they don't know what they want to pay. Sometimes they'll stay at that, or they'll think, I want to go up. kind of like me, I went from getting brass belts to an ultimate crumb rind. So I know how that is, and I know how people can go the other way. It's just, it doesn't matter. You guys enjoy what you want to enjoy, but that's just my experience. But I messaged them. Of course, they're busy. They didn't get back to me for about a week. Okay, then they got back to me. I told them what I wanted: some United States title plates, and some national heavyweight, the NWA. Great. At that time, it was $1,000 for both of them. So $500 for plates from them is not bad at all. Thing was, after that, it took them about 3 or 4 weeks before they accepted my payment. I was kind of upset by then because I was used to Mateen, pay here tomorrow. It's only $350. You'll have it in 8 to 12 weeks. Okay. Now, me working with Mian, I can tell you with business booming, it's easy. It's easy to get lost, where you can't, you got to pick and choose. I'll answer these right now. I'll answer these later. Because mind you, Classic Shields isn't ignoring you. You'll look down on the thread. They'll see that you messaged them, but they're just can't. It's not physically possible to get to all the customers that they probably have in one day. So sometimes people get. So I understand the business part. So then we went. They told me 2 months. Okay, 4 months in, wasn't done yet. I actually got upset on that time, and I asked for a refund, which they gave me. They said no hard feelings. But they're busy. It's all business with them. They don't create the conversation like you would with a Mateen or someone. If you're with them long enough, you'll talk, but they don't have time to converse. They just want to do business. They want to do good work. The work speaks for themselves. If they take a little longer, so what? You know what I mean? They're still doing good. Now, this time around with United National, I messaged them. We had a great conversation. He put me back in the groups. There's just this thing. If you're not with them, they don't want you in their groups. If you're not buying or you're not, they don't want people in there trolling or, you know what I mean? They just want the people that want Classic Shields. Kind of
just want a clean group, customers,
Yeah. So they put me back in. I've got updates periodically. The time frame is about what they told me. He actually messaged me back. I messaged him one night. He couldn't get back to me till the morning. I think I talked to you about that. I was trying to get back to them. And he said, hey, it's I'm getting on leather. I'll have it out to you. So my experience this time was great. It wasn't before, but maybe I didn't know what to expect last time. So that's like I say, when you're getting like Brothers of the Belt and you don't really want to ask people, honestly, who do I go to? Because they all have somebody they went to, somebody they got a deal from, somebody they just love, somebody overall that might do great work. And that's why they're picking them. But there's so many reasons. So you go to somebody like Josh Hammer, ask him, hey, what's it like? What's the landscape here? I only got so much money. A lot of people don't want to say their price range. They're afraid to say if they get a belt, for $200 because there is a little bit of hazing. So it's one of those things where Classic Shields, they've evolved and got better. But with business, it's hard sometimes, man. You can't get to everybody when you want. Some things are going to get over. Not everything even Classic Shields does is right the first time. They might have to go back and do another belt or do a different plate or this like that. So when you got the volume that they do, there has to be a little bit of a little bit of curve for somebody like him or ORM. So
do you have any idea of what their volume is like? I mean, because no one really knows, right? How many orders they get, say, a month?
I can only tell you what we get at Omi Belts. And I'll just go for example. We get 50 to 100 a month. Okay. And that's like 2 or 3 people ordering every day. So, of course, our time frames have went up at Omi Belts. Does it mean you're not going to get great work? You're absolutely going to get great work. You're absolutely going to get your product. And I'm going to try to keep you eased on down the road. I'm going to communicate with you. And that might be the one problem with CS and ORM. They might need some guy that's actually manning these messages and manning all these, and they just work. But it's one of those things where they're from the old guard. You had a lot of middlemen, a lot of guys that were ripping people off, and a lot of people that didn't have the Pakistan's best interests involved, we'll just put. So they're like that, the old heads that think I don't need that. Just kind of like, your grandma that says, she don't need a new coffee maker. They're just going to stick with
stuck in the old ways. Yeah.
But I mean, it would help them. If anything would help them, would be that. Cause I have some that go over, we get hundreds of orders. We get some that go over. And I just explain what's going on, but I'm honest with them. I don't just look at the message and ignore it for a month. And I'm not saying they do that, but I mean, it has happened with makers in the past, and that's what frustrates people.
Well, here's the things that we're going over, guys. We're going over price with each maker, wait time, and communication. So we're hitting on communication and wait time right now. My experience was in March. I ordered 2 belts from Classic Shields. And I had been in the hobby for quite a few months before I ordered. But from I did a lot of my own research. Of course, I asked around, see what people liked and all that, but I did mostly my own research. And I figured, you know what? I'm going to go with Classic Shields. I love their work. I mean, you saw the video, you saw the photos. My God, the photos sell themselves, right? So I ordered 2 belts. I ordered an AEW. Sorry, Eddie, an AEW, and I also ordered a Winged Eagle. And the Winged Eagle was actually because of Josh Hammer's Winged Eagle. I remember him getting it in from Classic Shields, and he posted the photos, and I could not believe what I saw. Just the quality of that belt, the detail, the etching, the smoothness. You know, it's just beautiful. Even the leather looked beautiful in photos. So I said, you know what? I'm going to go for it. Put me in touch with the person I had to reach out to, and I did it. So the AEW cost me $1,100, $1,100. Okay, and that's with the strap and everything. And then that's HD, by the way. And I also ordered the Winged Eagle. I'd say I ordered the Winged Eagle maybe 2-3 weeks after I ordered the Winged Eagle. And that one put me back $900 because I got a couple of extra things. There was one thing that they offer. It's like on their eagle wings, you can get what's called like extra flocked. You know, it has extra detail in the feathers. Yeah. So I got that too because it looked just so dope on the pictures that they sent me. I had to get it. So I got all that. And I figured, well, they told me it was going to be about 3 months. To me, that's 6 months. You know, all right. I'm like, I don't think you're going to get this shit done in 3 months, but whatever. So 6 months go by, but then COVID hits, you know, so we're in March. I order in March, COVID hits, right? So I know there's going to be some extra time that's going to be needed because everything's shut down, blah, blah, blah. But I hit them up in June. So we're going April, May, June. So 3 months. You know, I just wanted to get a status update on everything. And they told me that the AEW was in polishing. Now, Eddie, polishing. What step is that in the whole process? Polishing.
Okay, basically you go from the etching. Okay, then you go to polishing, which is kind of like in between the nickel or gold plating, you know, cleaning up the plates, basically, you know, getting them ready for plating.
So then after that, what's after polishing?
Then it goes to nickel plating, gold plating. Then you do depending on the maker, you know, the screws and stuff might go on after that or before that, depending on the maker. I've seen some do it different ways. Okay, then you have the leather, you know, put it together, take a picture and send it out to you. So it's fairly early in the process.
Okay. So, and that's fine with me, you know, as long as I get an update. Oh, we're in etching. Cool. See you later. So etching or polishing, sorry. So I hit them up last week. We're in September. And I just wanted to see what was going on, where we're at. And I'm not getting any responses, which I'm like, you know what? They're probably busy. But people I know that placed orders are getting responses from the same guy there, you know? So I'm like, that's weird. So they told me to reach out. There's another guy you can reach out to. There's 2 of them. So I reached out to the other guy. He got back to me right away. So I said, yeah, I just want to know what's up with the AEW, where we're at in the process. No big deal. I'm not trying to push. I'm not trying to press. I know how it is. And he told me, oh, yeah, brother, yours is an etching. Etching was in June. We're in September. What are you etching it with a plastic fork? What's going on here, man? Etching. So then I sent him a screenshot of the message I had in June. I said, listen, man, he said it was in polishing. He goes, oh, yeah, that's in the same batch. Okay. I'm still not getting it here. So are we in etching or are we in polishing? Sorry, brother, you're in etching. Okay. So that made me weird a little bit, you know, like that made me feel a little uneasy. You know, it's like, listen, I have a feeling that now this is just me, that either they sold my plates or they messed up on my plates and they had to redo them, or they got new artwork and they had to redo it, which is fine. I mean, just tell me, you know, if you had to redo it or if you messed up or the plate was bad, anything, just tell me. I don't care. I don't mind. I'll wait for a year, bro. I'll wait. I don't need the belt right now. Right. It's not like I need it. If it's going to take 2 years, it's going to take 2 years. It's fine. Whatever. but I think that just has to be addressed by them. That's all. Just simple. You don't have to get an exact time frame. You don't have to be like some fortune teller saying, oh, you will have your belt September 25th, with some crystal ball. Just be like, listen, man, we're really backlogged right now. We got a lot of orders. We had the COVID shutdown. It could take 9 months to a year, brother. I'm just being honest with you. Cool.
Right.
But that's what confused me, was that it went from polishing to etching in 2 months. And that weirded me out. But then he also said my winged eagle is in bolting. So I figure they get a lot more winged eagle orders, because my winged eagle's almost done and I ordered it after the AEW. So I'm figuring all the AEW orders go to you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I made the mistake. I should have ordered it with you, and your AEW is immaculate, just like the one on TV. So, but that was my experience with communication. It could be a little better, like you said, maybe they do need a guy to help, with the communicating with the customers and maybe reaching out here and there and saying, you know what, your batch is here, your batch is here, or just wait for questions and be like, all right, it's here. Thank you. I think that's the one thing that you guys have is communication. You're always there to answer questions. You're always there to make sure everyone knows what's going on in the process, whether they like it or not, where they are, or if they get bad news. Bad news is better than no news, in my opinion.
Just to chime in real quick. Now, what I think goes on with them knowing Mian. Okay, Mian, we try to go. I'm going to be honest. The people we look up to are ORM and Classic Shields, and we kind of follow their, way they go about business. I mean, for the most part, not the communication part, okay, but everything else we try to. And ORM and Classic Shields have actually gotten better than they used to be before. So it's actually evolved a little bit. I mean, they could use a third guy, that's taking all these calls and stuff like that. But the problem is, I think they get busy. They get real busy. And stuff happens. Like I told you, I think I said in the beginning, stuff doesn't always, come out a home run the first time. If they have to redo it, they're just messaging you, and he could be looking at a log saying where you're at, not even explain to you what happened before that, which it's on them for the most part. They should do that. They should know that you expect that. But I know in Pakistan, it's kind of like a pride factor too, where, they don't want to let you know they've done anything wrong. I mean, I don't care if it's Classic Shields or this guy. They don't want to let anybody know the secrets. They don't want anybody to know anything. They just want to sell you the belt. And I tell Mian, and I think he's learned, a lot from that, where I'm like, well, if I tell so-and-so it's going to take this long, or I tell them that we screwed up, or, you're going to have to wait over the time we said, as long as I'm letting them know that, that's key. And that a lot of people respect that. And that's why they come back to us. But as far as them, they got guys on a lot of these big pages, that don't care if they just say, here's my order. Whenever I get it, I get it. They're not really, most people in the hobby want the experience as well. Some want, just the belt. So they have so many people praising them, and not a lot of people getting critical on what they should fix. I don't think that's why they fix it. So, because it's not really broke, because it's actually working this way. They're getting everything they want. They put 80% back in the business, which is very smart. That's why they have the better equipment, the better stuff. And that's why they're the best, because they have all that stuff. So I don't know if they feel like they need to get better. It's just us analyzing it in their mind. They might be like, it's working the way it is. And who knows how many times people message them all day. They could be getting messages from the time I wake up to the time I go to bed, I'm getting messages all the time. So you get to a point where you just have to ignore it. Or for the most part, not so much. I think they do it too much, but I think you should get back eventually. With me, when I messaged them, like I said, they got back the next day, and he was real nice. So, and that's all I expect. I know what it's like to get busy like that. And I just think it's working for them right now. So I don't really think they feel a need to change it, I guess.
It would be incredible. I know a lot of these, this is of course a pipe dream, but you know how when you order something on like Domino's pizza on their app, and it tells you put your order in, and it tells you it's in the oven, Joe is wrapping it up. Frank's going to deliver it to your house. I think if they had some type of like online system where, they put your order number in, And then when they go to do a batch, they throw the numbers in, and then you could just see the update. Yours is in etching.
Right.
Do you know how much time that would save them with having to answer? That would be pretty dope, bro. Right?
If they manned it properly and they didn't leave any steps out, like if something went haywire and they had to redo it, if they would add that type of stuff, I think that would be ingenious to have something like that. I just think that people would still probably complain a little bit, but I would rather have an app like that, to be honest with you. But people don't know the process. That's the thing. A lot of these guys, like I see Matt Panetta, what's up, my brother? Bodie Green, these guys, they know the process. They know what to expect. So therefore, they're not going on a tirade on Facebook. Hey, you guys all told me to get this guy, but I haven't had any communication in 2 months, and that's not what I expected. I just think people need to tell the good and the bad, and that's the problem. People are always telling the good in fear they're not going to get it anymore, whether they're going to get hazed by the people in the group or the maker's going to shun them. And I'm not saying that I'm not saying anyone in particular is doing that, but I know the mindset because I look at these pages, and if I go to a page for a new maker, I always do my homework. I talk to the admin. I see the comments. I'll put their name on top and get every comment that, every post that's been put on them. And I make that judgment. I don't go to like someone and say, hey, who's the best? I don't know if they're working with somebody or they had 30 belts with somebody and their opinion is going to be obstructed by it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing too. I think you hit the nail on the head there. A lot of people don't know the full process of creating a handmade piece of art like this, and how much work is involved, how much time it takes to create these things. And then not only that, but if people, I don't know, like Classic Shields probably has people that make a change, in the middle of the process. What, can you change this to that? Can you alter this for me? I mean, there's probably so many times that happens, and then that just pushes you back a little bit, right?
That happens to us, and I know that happens with them. And I think I showed a post I sent to you one morning where some guy was asking for an update every 3 days on a comment thread. Do you remember me showing you that? He's like, update. That's what they see, and that's what makes them think, you know what? I'll handle it when I need to handle it, and that's what I'll do. I think their reputation precedes them, though. That's why they don't get, attacked as much as somebody that's new in the hobby, because people know no matter what, they're going to get their product at some point. It's going to be great. It's going to be a home run. It's just the time in between. I know more than anybody. Sometimes things go wrong. Mian will give me something that he etched, and mind you, in a batch of 50, 60 belts that we got together. It takes some time. They go polished and everything. Will be like, brother, this didn't come out right in the corner. We don't want to send that out. So we start over. And then if you tell somebody like, oh, well, it's been 8 weeks and it's still etching. I mean, I'm not going off what you said, just in general, though. They should have been in detail at that point and told you. Okay?
Right. Yeah. Like if I show them a screenshot saying, listen, you guys told me it was in polishing 2 months ago. Did something happen? And he could have said, we had to start it over.
Unless they didn't remember, he could have just not remembered the situation. Because I know he probably said, I talked to blah, blah, and blah. Not taking up for him, but I really think they need to be more on the ball as far as the customer service side to get the other people. Because you have people over here that, maybe they cost $1,000, but look at it this way. If it takes 6 months, they only ask for 200 down, 100 down. You make payments for 6 months and get the belt that you want. That's how we do it at Mian. An AEW 650, which I think is a great price for what we give you.
Absolutely.
We ask for a couple $100 down. We'll take the rest, midway. And when we know it's going to be ready to go, we'll get the rest from you. And that makes it affordable for people, which they do a good job at that. Both ORM and Classic Shields do a good job with that.
Mike says, I ordered my HD Winged Eagle plates mid-November from Classic Shields. Had them in hand first week of April. So December, January, February, March, 5 months. Communication isn't the best, but I'm sure they get a lot of messages worth the wait. Vinny, oh, absolutely. I know. Mike, I know I'm going to love the Winged Eagle when I get it in. Absolutely.
You just get taken back, Vinny, though, by when you're used to getting a certain way. And I'm not saying it makes what they're doing bad. It's just business and they're busy. But if you're used to getting, if you talk to customer service, if you message Amazon, and I know you can't compare these things, but it's in your head because everywhere you go, you call somebody to get back to you,
Customer service is so crazy here, so.
Right. And when you're used to it, it takes you back a little bit, but then you get used to it. Like me, when I ordered from them, I gave them that money and I said, look, man, when it gets done, it gets done. I'm not going to ask you. I'm not going to bug you, and they sent me the updates and they, I don't know if they appreciated that or that's how they like to operate because it seemed to operate smoother when I didn't come on attack mode trying to get them all the time. And I think a lot of
Right.
these people are in attack mode, but I also think, and you can go from ORM, Classic Shields, Mateen, Mian, Usman, you want to go all the way down to the middle class, the high class belt makers. They all need to be better with communication. You know,
Right.
I think that's the big problem. If they got that, like if I told you, you know, Vinny, I know it's been 6 months, but brother, we made a couple of mistakes. We had to do this. It's a hard belt. You know, we're going to be on it now and be adamant about getting it done for you in the next few months. And most of the time you're going to understand it.
You know what the fuck I'd say? Thank you.
Yes.
Thanks for letting me know. See you later.
When that don't happen, when you get ghosted and you message and they're afraid, just like when they say the time frame, like Classic Shields has been known for saying 2 to 4 months and taking 10 months. Now, I told ORM, which we'll talk about later, but I told ORM basically, look, man, you can say 8 to 10 months and it's not going to sway me from wanting your work. You know what I mean? Like Classic Shields is that anybody, like that guy said, Mike, he knows, you know, he knows what to expect. That's why I think the people that comment and say who to go to, you know, be a little more honest about your experience, and not everybody's experience is the same. So you can't expect you to get what I get or vice versa. You don't know the situation.
You can't, honestly, I can't base anybody else's Classic Shields experience and on what I'm going to experience. I just can't, because it seems like everyone's order individually is different.
Exactly.
You know, it's all in the time of when you ordered it. It's all when, you know, with the lockdown, you know, that hurt everybody. You know, it's all in the batch that you're in, what belt you got, what details you need on it. Everyone's order is so different, that it's not like you're getting, you know, the same winged eagle. Every winged eagle is different, especially, and they give you a sheet when I don't know if you've ordered from Classic Shields, but when you order from them, they give you like this sheet of photos with numbers on them. And I wish I still had it because I would post it, but it's basically, it allows you to choose the eagle you want, the thickness of the bars, the relief piece, the flocking, the etching, you know, how much you want the etching, the leather cut, and they have it all pictured out real nice, like a menu, you know, and you're like, all right, I want number 2 for the plate, and I want number 3 for the leather. And then you could choose the tip as well. So they give you a lot of customizing when it comes to this stuff.
I'm glad you brought that up, just to chime in a little bit on that. And that's what a lot of people don't understand either, which I think makers, middle guys, I know that we do, we even have it on our price list. And as you said, you know, we try to take after Classic Shields and ORM all we can. We take the advice to that. Like people, you'll tell them, say 300 for a belt. I know there's more, but we're just saying 300. And then they expect to get the tooling around this, the tip, you know, how you say the flak, how'd you say it on the wings?
You can choose the amount of flock.
The flock. Well, I mean, that's important because
it's pretty dope looking, man.
People would think that they deserve to have all that, but what you know what a lot of people don't understand, these makers gotta go and get that done. You know what I mean? So it
looks
takes
so
time.
meticulous. Yeah.
Time is money. I don't care if they're doing it on a machine or if they're doing it hand, which most of them are doing it by hand. It takes time, and it doesn't look better. Yeah, but that's like you were different price ranges, man. You can't just get everything. And I think some people get mad. They'll pay some of these makers, and like, not to get off the subject, but the mindset that they like Usman, for instance, you know, somebody was complaining that he got a $200 belt and they expected to have it like all these bells and whistles on it. Now I think I know Carmine, not on Carmine at all. Carmine's the middle guy, but some of these guys go to Usman. You know, if Usman would be more adamant and be like, look, you know, if you want this, you're going to have to pay a little more for this, this, and this. I think a lot of these makers, they give you the first price out there, and that's how they go about getting the parts for that belt. I like that myself, you know, Classic Shields, a lot of Mateen, they give you options. Well, that's going to cost more, bro. That's going to cost more. Not just say, give me an NWA TV. Here's my Google pick. And in 4 months, oh, hey, well, that's not how I thought it was supposed to be. I thought I'd get this and this. No, they need to let them know about, you know, the bells and whistles. A lot of makers don't do that either, which is they should be doing.
Now, when you go through, now say you have an order with someone, which I'm sure happens with these guys too, right? And they need to make a change. What in an instance with you guys, I don't know if they do the same, but just to have an idea, what do you have to do then? Say they want to alter, I don't know, something. Give me an example of what people change in the middle of their order.
We had a customer that wanted a custom belt. It didn't have a removable nameplate at first. Now, a
Okay.
couple of months in, we already had the plates, polished at, just kind of like yours, but, it's going to the nickel, blah, blah, blah. And they wanted a removable nameplate. So, of course, we can make that adjustment, or we can start over. You know what I mean? So, like, a lot of times mine will start over, completely, because he's just real intricate. Sometimes, you can just screw it in. But, if he etched something a certain way and he thinks it's going to ruin the whole thing altogether, he'll actually start the plates over. Now, I think I probably should use a different example. Say, for instance, somebody didn't like the font, or that might not be the correct font that they wanted, or they thought they were going to get something else. Of course, they're going to have to start over. So, then it's going to take another couple of more, whatever it took to get to that point, you're going to have to wait for that again. I think collectors, not all of them, not the Mikes or the Matt Panettas or us, they know that there's going to be a different change, but then 4 months will come up and some guys will be like, well, you only told me it was going to be 4 months. What's going on? Well, we had to redo. We can't just, it's not an easy fix. You got to start the whole thing over again. Right. And we explain that stuff. Some of these makers, I think if they explain that, like I said, we're talking about communication here. I don't think they would have some of the issues they have right now. It's all about just letting you just want to know what's going on. I mean, that's part of the hobby of it. It's good and bad. I mean, it's a blessing and a curse that you can get updates, because not many places can you get updates about stuff that you order.
Well, let's talk about pricing real quick, which is a big factor in your purchase, right? Anything is price.
All right.
So let's look at Classic Shields. Now, this is just for single layer. Okay. You got standard def and high def. So standard def. Well, high def is deeper etching, right, Eddie? Just deeper etching, more detail, I guess.
Yeah.
So 850 and then 950. Okay, and that's with the strap. That's everything. Right. Single layer. That's not a big difference at all.
No.
$100. So they're basically saying, please get the HD. Because if you're spending $850, what's another $100? Right. To get something like this. I mean, look at that. This is the extra flocked eagle that I wanted to show you. This is what I'm talking about. Look at the detail in the feathers of the wings.
Right.
And when I saw this, I was like, holy shit. Do that for me. But of course that's going to take extra time, right? So, but I mean, my goodness, everyone's going to go HD, I would imagine.
I think that's where the bait is. But overall, the HD process is easier for them to do, though.
Is it?
Yeah, overall, I mean, SD, it doesn't come out the same. It's more of a crude method of doing it. It's not really what they want to do. They would really want to stick with CNC and HD work. All makers would want to do that. Not everybody can afford that, that machine. But I think that's, they have everything in house, which makes it easier for them too. A lot of these makers don't have things in house, so they're at the mercy of the plater. Is he going to get it done, or is he swamped after the COVID? He's got all these plates. Am I going to get mine? So sometimes the other makers won't even know about their work. So they're telling you, they're not giving you info because sometimes they don't have it. You know what I mean? But with Classic Shields, they have everything in house. So they can make adjustments. They can make changes. And I think that's why, I know their time frames are high, but I think with the volume of orders and the quality, they would probably be a lot more if they didn't have a lot of in-house stuff. Now, as far as
I saw this, like, excuse me, I didn't mean to cut you off. I saw this machine that they have. They posted a video on their Facebook where it actually, this laser cuts out the leather straps.
Right.
Like precisely.
Right.
That's incredible.
Yeah. And it's expensive. I know it varies in price. I don't want to kind of throw one out there, but me and Mian, we actually talked about that because I was like in awe when I seen it too. So
I was like, holy shit.
He's familiar, which a lot of the makers are, where people go to get certain things. It just depends on if they're able to afford to get those things. Sometimes they got to establish themselves, get some money, and then they can buy equipment like Classic Shields. Like I said, they said they put 80% of what they make back into their, their business.
Well, they've been in the game for a lot longer too, so when you're putting 80% in, you're gonna really build the business up quicker.
And just things like cutting their own, they got the leather that cuts itself, they have the plates that pretty much etch themselves. Okay, that makes it easier, and with they're making more money now, and they're not having to work as hard. I mean, Mian and them, they're still cutting. They're cutting the leather, and they got to do everything. When if it keeps evolving, like a lot of these other guys, they'll be able to afford these other things. But I think with Classic Shields, they would rather charge you just a bit more, you know, so they can give you those options, and it's actually easier on them if they do the higher end stuff. So I think that's the bait.
Well, here's that. Thank you, Matt, for sending this to me. This is the little menu I was talking about here that they send you. This is just specifically for the Winged Eagle. I don't know if they do this for anything else, but you have cutting styles. Okay. This is just for the leather. Okay. The strap. So they have the cutting styles. With number 1, you get the wing tips kind of over the leather, which a lot of people do like. I see a lot of people get that.
Right.
And then number 2, it's more of the traditional strap shape where it covers, you know, it goes over the wing tips.
All right.
And then you have tooling styles. Now, this is where it gets a little more customizable here. You know, now, of course, you could always just order the plates, right? And then have your own leather done by someone here in the States or whatever you want to do, you know, which would be quicker. You'll get your plates quicker than you would the entire thing. But number 1, you get that little old school WWF tooled in. And then on the bottom, number 1, you get the, you don't get that extra thick border around the WWF plate. You see what I'm saying? Whereas number 2, you get that extra thick border, that double border there. And then you also, it shows you what kind of tooling you get in the snap box. But that's what you get. The different cutting styles and the toolings. They send this to you, PDF format. You get it. And like I said, you say, I want a number 1 cutting style and I want a number 2 tooling style. But then, of course, you're going to have people that, well, I want the tooling style 1. I want tooling style 2. You know, you're going to get a lot of people that want to customize that as well. So to keep track of all that, my goodness, you know,
it's crazy.
Then, of course, when it comes to the plate, you know, there's different versions, dual plated. Then there's the WrestleMania 4. I mean, some people want the Bret Hart. I want the one that Bret Hart had in 94. You know, you get all this stuff. And just to keep track of all that, it probably takes more than an Excel spreadsheet to keep all this, you know, in track. What do you guys use to keep track of all your orders? And especially when you're doing 50 to 100 a month, how do we even keep track of everything?
There's 3 ways that we do it. I don't know how they do it. They're probably more of, you know, they have on their desktop for some type of format they're using. I know we use Microsoft Excel. I know I have a whiteboard in my office at home. Plus we use WhatsApp to send additional pictures and just to have communication going through there. Right. And I'll send a picture of everything. I'll make a list in detail, bullet. They want this, this, and this. And if he doesn't understand, which if it's something new, I'll pop a picture on there as well. That way we know, and I can actually go back and show the customer, you know, this is what you ordered. It wasn't this or this. So, because sometimes they forget. They didn't. I don't know if I remember to tell you about the tooling or around the logo plate or whatnot. So we try to. It's them doing that. That's just top notch because it keeps it right in their head. Because like I said, if you message them, he honestly might have thought that you weren't even the Wing Eagle or AEW he was talking about. Right. So that happens, but if they have it down, not just a mental note, I think a lot of these makers don't, you know, of course they're new and they'll learn. They don't have a lot of detail in front of them to look at. They get the picture off Google and they say, well, this is the belt they want, not really look at the intricate details that some of these guys might be expecting, you know, on their orders. But
well, when I got that, I thought that was dope. I was like, holy shit, they have their shit together, right? You get this little little menu. Okay, yeah, let me get this, that. It's all done in Messenger. Right. You know, it's real simple. And then what they do is when you choose everything, they send you an invoice, right? And how much you paid, like an invoice when you go to get work done on your car. It looks like that, you know, has their logo in the corner, real nice, shows what you ordered in detail. And then it shows the total at the bottom and it shows what you put down. And then the total for that after your payment. And then every time you make a payment, you get an updated invoice right out the gate. Or if you add something else to your order, you get an updated invoice right after that, just so you know what's going on, you know, and there's no questions as, oh, you said this, you said no, it's in your invoice. And I emailed it to you. Here you go.
All right.
While we're at it, we're going to close out on Classic Shields pretty soon, but I'm going to show you my Classic Shields belt just so you guys can see what's going on here. So if you don't mind, Eddie, I'm going to put you in the back real quick.
Go ahead, brother.
Now, this was purchased secondhand. Okay, this was not purchased directly from them. So I had about a 3-day waiting period shipping. That was it. I ordered the scratch logo Big Eagle. And this was my first ORM or Classic Shield product. I had either shop or that was it. Shop, figs, whatever you want to call it. But this thing, when I first got this, the one thing I noticed was the absolute stunning detail on these plates. I'm going to try and show it to you as best as I can with this camera here. This is just a webcam, which I will upgrade eventually to an actual 4K camera so we can show more detail. But check this out. So I'm going to take my headphones out too because they're a pain in the ass. Hold on. Here you go. You getting that detail okay there? That is the scratch logo Big Eagle main plate. Here is the texture, the nugget texture that they have in there, which is gorgeous. Plates are nice and smooth. This is not HD. This is SD, by the way. This is not HD.
Still really
property
nice.
Plate here. And then look at the tooling in the leather.
A lot of attention to detail. That comes with experience, as of course they have.
I can't hear you, Eddie. I'm sorry. I have my headphones out. I'll put them back in. But just the leather, soft, floppy. I'll show you the back too. Everything, it's heavy too. It's heavy as fuck. And then everything is covered beautifully. And a lot of people said, they weren't too keen on Classic Shield's leather. Man, this leather is amazing. It's really, really, really nice. Really, really nice. I hear you now, Eddie. What were you saying? I'm sorry.
I was just saying, the quality, that goes with Classic Shields is just amazing.
No, it's incredible. I mean, I can hold it however I want. The leather bends wherever I want it to bend. I can hold it like this, and it doesn't feel like I'm bending cardboard. It feels really, really soft. Dude, this is, for an SD, this is incredible. And I'm telling you right now, the paint is spot on.
Right.
The detail in the wings, the feathers, just amazing, amazing work. Now, I did see a photo of the HD Big Eagle.
Right.
My God.
It's amazing. And the thing about that belt is, it was done correctly. They took their time and they got you a great product. That's what I would hope and pray, like the shows like we're doing right now that just can let people know, like these, it's not for everybody. The price range isn't for everybody. The wait times aren't. Some people just want to get a belt quick. They're used to the WWE shop. Right. A lot of these makers, and that's okay. I got belts that are $300. It took 12 weeks. And I'm happy with them. At the same time, I'm happy with a piece of art like that as well. You just gotta, I hate when people say you get what you pay for. I think, if said correctly and sold correctly on what you guys were getting, and if everybody followed the same thing, things that bullet points that Classic Shields does, or like Mian or even Mateen or somebody, more people would be more in the know about what they're getting, and I don't think they'd be as frustrated. And even with a 6 to 8 month wait time for something like that, even that. SD,
well, I'll tell you something. Even if I waited a year for this thing, which I didn't, I was blessed because somebody was selling it, right? And I caught it. And I noticed when people sell these things, they're gone in 5-10 minutes,
right? Because
people don't want to wait, right?
Right.
But when I got this, I was like, let me see what this is all about. I would wait a year for this. I would wait a year and a half because I know I'm getting quality. I know I'm getting something that is, bar none, one of the best products you can get. It kills the shop. And the shop isn't bad, bro.
Right.
The shop makes, as long as you get it re-leathered, shop ain't bad. But this stuff, man, this is incredible. And I would wait. I would have no problem waiting the amount of time that it would take to make it. You know what I'm saying?
Let me go get one real quick. Since I'm right here, I might as well go ahead and get one.
That's what we're here for, bro. That's what we're here for. And I'll tell you right now. Let me read some comments while he. Thank you, Dan. Thank you. No, it is. It's beautiful. I never got a W. They're not bad. I'm not talking about the Big Eagle, but just like say the Universal Championship or the network logo. They're fine. They're fine. You know, for what you get. Thank you, brother. Thank you, Nando. Oh, I can't wait. Oh my God. All right, Eddie, I'm putting you on full here. All right. You're going full screen, bro.
Okay.
For this one. This is a full screener. Go for it. My God.
I do have the Classic Shields Ultimate Crumrine. Okay, you know, if you take a look there, you can see like the rope border.
Everyone cry.
And this is something that, you know, no maker can replicate yet. Not even close. I mean, some are going to get to the point where they can evolve. But I got this secondhand from Michael Mitro. I paid $1,700, which is a deal. It does have American leather. But that's the thing about Classic Shields. They had you want to do the side screen, you can, but they had
gotcha.
They had their leather was so for the plates, you know, with makers, the plating, all their plate work seems to go up fast, quick, and then the leather is something that comes on later down the road. Classic Shields, I think, is there obviously now, but not so much back then. Yeah, like I love this belt. This will be a belt I'll never get rid of. I'm pretty sure the David Von Erich one that they're gonna, you know, the United National that I'm getting, I'm probably never gonna get rid of that. It's just a work of art. There's nothing wrong with it. Like, I don't care if it took me 10 months to get this. There's nothing wrong with it, man. Like,
the only thing that's wrong with it is it's not on my shoulder. That's the only thing. That's the problem.
Exactly. And that's the thing. I didn't have to. If I would order it though. Don't get me wrong, but me talking to them, like I said, all you guys do your homework and look, you know, Mohammed, whichever one you're talking to. I don't care if it takes 6 to 10 months. Okay.
No.
I'm giving you my money. You got my confidence, and go. And I think if you guys go about it that way, you know, then Classic Shields is probably one of the ways to go, or at least to have a couple in your collection if you're able to. They only ask for a couple hundred down. Like I said, if it takes a few months, you guys can pay it that way. There's always secondhand though. You know, like I said, I got mine that way, but it wouldn't have stopped me from ordering those. So, but I know
I'm sure you would gladly wait a year for that thing. That's how beautiful that thing is.
I would,
you know. And it's for people who, now there are people who don't care, you know, about, you know, crazy detail or crazy etching, or that's what the shop's for. That's what the smaller makers are for. There's something for everybody.
Right.
You know, Like I said, the network logo, if I want a universal title or something like that, just jump on the fucking shop and get one, you know?
I haven't had this on for a while, man. It feels pretty good. So
you look like a fucking champ, dude.
If you look
like a beast.
I feel like it with this Pounding the Meat shirt on. You know, I got the Ultimate Crumrine. I'm on the Pounding the Meat show. I mean,
you're on here, bro. This is the AAA. You know what I'm saying?
Great Friday, man. Here, you know, this is the way I want to celebrate on a Friday.
You guys having fun talking belts or what? I mean, this is fun stuff.
I know I am.
All right, so that is Classic Shields. Hopefully, we gave you a little bit of information to help you with your purchase choice. You know, like I said, you don't have to go with either one of these guys, but I know these two guys are regarded as some of the best. So that's why we decided, hey, let's do a show about it. I don't think I've ever seen one where people just compare stuff, compare their belts, compare their wait times, compare everything. Right. So now,
ORM is next to Anand Bridgie.
Yep.
He's wondering why we haven't talked about ORM.
Oh, we're saving ORM for second. So we're actually transitioning to ORM.
Yes.
ORM. We're going to talk about him, okay? But before we do, we're going to talk about Pounding the Meat real quick. Pounding the Meat is a podcast that's based on movie reviews, collecting, like we're talking about here, pro wrestling. We're going to have some pro wrestling shows, just talking pro wrestling. What's up? Old school wrestling. But tonight we're talking collecting. And in October, everyone knows October is Halloween, you know, the fall. You know, that cold air is coming. And so we decided, you know what? Let's switch up our theme for October here at Pounding the Meat. What are we going to do? What should we do? You know? So then I said, yeah, what do we do? I said, let me look at my collection. And if you guys notice, I have a couple of dolls back there. Yes, I love dolls. but I am a fucking Chucky mark, man. I am a Child's Play mark. I've always loved Chucky. I love horror movies in general, especially 80s horror movies. But let's change the theme to the podcast. Whole month of October, we're switching it up. And there's a lot more to come. Trust me. There is a lot more to come in the whole month of October. That's going to be our theme for the month.
That was
But
awesome.
anyway, thank you. Let's get back to ORM. What does ORM's work like? Let's check it out.
Wow. It's that music too, man. It just gets to you.
It does sound like soft porn music, doesn't it?
Some great work there, though.
I'm telling you right now. So, ORM. Hold on, Tim. Make a Thank you, Tim. Listen, we're gonna do something every year. Don't worry. But this year it's all about the little guy. And but anyway, ORM Belts is their official company title. What do you know about ORM, Eddie?
You know what he reminds me of, because Classic Shields, not to go on them again, but they've been around the longest. You know, they're kind of like the oldest heads in the hobby. I feel like ORM was the first kid, you know, to challenge the big dog on the porch. You know, he kind of the first one that took out of there and took a lot of stuff to the next level. Back in the beginning, I think he's matured with age. I think in the beginning, his customer service was lacking. As far as him not messaging, just the quality of conversation that they would have. If they attacked him, he'd attack back. He had said a lot of things in the past. People even still bring it up to this day, how he said he would, you know, excuse my language, fuck someone's wife. And it's just some stupid stuff like that. It's saying about Americans. And but I think he's came past that. And I never judged him off of that. Especially, you know, we never heard the other side of the conversation or what he was said to him at first. You know,
there's always some type of context. Yeah,
there's two parts to every story. Now the guy that I dealt with, which is recently, my experience with ORM is recent. Because like I said, I bought a lot from Mian and a lot of secondhand other stuff. But I've had a couple of belts from ORM, one being the WWE Big Gold. As far as the work, right up there with anybody. The leather is immaculate. He probably does, in my opinion, he was the reigning champion as far as the best leather, even better than Classic Shields. Now with this new equipment, you know, they've stepped their game up. But I mean, ORM's been known as having the best leather in the game. You know, I'm talking overseas. As far as his plates, every now and again, you know, there's some artwork that's not perfect, but as far as the quality of the etching, you know, the plating, everything like that, you know, it's just perfect. It's as good as you're going to get. He doesn't have the range of Classic Shields. Like, you know, he doesn't do cast work and there's some other stuff that he doesn't do. he has a big surprise. I know he's going to talk about with you. I don't want to let the cat out the bag, but you've talked to ORM about a couple of things because you guys have a good relationship as we do. As far as customer service, dude's awesome to talk to, man. He'll FaceTime you, he'll talk to you. I've had great conversations with him that had nothing to do about belts. He has other interests. Belts is one of them. I know he does a lot of other things in Pakistan. I don't want to get into his business, but I know he's a businessman. So he takes things accordingly. As far as communication, I'll just put it this way. I ordered some plates from ORM back in May. We'll say April. They were done. The plates were done. They just needed to be plated, etched, polished, and out the door. I didn't ask him how long it was going to be. And I even told him, I said, don't tell me 60 days. I don't want to hear the song. And just joking with him, he laughed back. I said, I just want great work. So I know a couple other people ordered some plates on that day as well. Well, a finished belt, not just, seeing the WWE Big Gold I had. It took about, I want to say 12 weeks, maybe 10 to 12 weeks. Not much communication in between, but I did speak with him and we did talk about other stuff. I think I approach him the same way he approaches me in like a business, like I know my belt's being worked on. I'm not going to haggle him over it. If he has something to offer me, he's going to give it to me on his own. And that's how we do at Mian Belts. If I don't message you, chances are I'm not going to have something for you. You know me, Vinny, the second I get something, I tell you, I'm going to give it to the customers. I'm not going to wait. I'm not going to take my time.
Because you're excited to tell them.
I'm excited to tell them. I'm excited to post. As you've seen in Mian, we've got a lot of posts going lately because we're excited to get you guys' work out. Right. I think with him, same rules apply as Classic Shields. Things have been going this way for so long. And I think ORM has the thickest skin I've seen, because even in his group, people are saying, what's going on? I'm waiting for a belt. I'm waiting for a belt. That this is what he does. Okay. He'll take your money, and he won't take that much either. Take a couple hundred down. And you can pay as you go to get towards the end, or you can pay it all at the end. He doesn't mind. So, in fact, that's kind of a payment plan in itself. If it takes 3, 4, 5 months. Now, I know he was telling people 60 days and then taking 5 or 6, 7 months. Right. Now, that's where the problem lies. Now, if it's me or you, or I'm joking with a Mike Page, or, I'm joking with, we'll say Ethan or somebody like that, we know what's up. But these new people you're trying to attract in, this poses a problem. And this is bad, this is bad for your look, overall.
They're really going to think, 30 days, 60 days. They're like, oh shit, I'm going to mark it on my calendar.
I got to pay my money. I got to get my money together. It's because maybe somebody can't afford, the prices that he has, because he commands a high, deservingly so, he commands a high price as well. But then you're like, oh, it's 60 days. I got my money. Basically it may not even start it yet. You know what I mean? Maybe he got busy. Maybe he had to turn it, you do something else. But like with mine, for example, like I said, 12 weeks, he messaged me. He only wanted 100 down. The belt was $800, the WWE Big Gold. So, if looking at it, it was well worth it. He only wanted 100. So I paid him the rest when it was over. He told me it was about to ship. He had said a week. It took 2 weeks, but like I said, I know what that's like. I know not everything. I never give anybody an exact time frame, and I think he doesn't either. So I think it's easier. Maybe he does. I don't know. I'm just saying off my experiences. He never gave me a hard deadline on anything. And I think that's the way to go. That way you don't put yourself over. But I know he has a couple of admins, Steven Santiago and Vince LaPointe. I don't want to say his name wrong. And they're speaking with them and FaceTiming with them and trying to get this corrected. Because if they have actually somebody in the middle there that will man his calls and speak to the man himself, and I know a lot of old school guys speak with him, so that's not going to happen completely. But for these new guys to come in, you speak with us, we'll take care of it, get the weight off his shoulder, and just have an explanation and good customer service to give these guys if they are excited or they have a question, and it makes the whole experience go better. But
and I think it really helps with the overall flow of the work too. Having someone out there for you, managing your questions and stuff like that, you can keep you working and keep getting things done, because every time he gets a message and he has to get away from work and get away from work and get away from work, you're never going to get anything done, or it just stops the flow of work. When you get into a rhythm with anything that you're doing and you're constantly interrupted, it's really gonna halt things. You know what I mean? So I think these guys should really look into just getting someone to help manage their call flow. That's all.
Right.
And I don't know if it's there's pride involved, or if they're just afraid to give someone that type of responsibility because they like to have control of everything, or if it's they don't trust the prices given. I don't know. Do you think they're afraid some people skim stuff off the top? What is it?
Well, this is just my opinion, okay? Like I said, only mine only, not Vinny's pounding the meat. No way. This is my opinion. Okay, I think with ORM and Classic Shields, it's more pride than being afraid. I think below that, not mine, because I don't care. But it's somebody that doesn't have a middleman. If it's just a maker, I think they're worried about a refund, especially if they paid in full and they might not be able to pay it back. Point be known, Classic Shields and ORM, I feel, if I'm looking from a business, to business, because I've been in business for 20 years, so I'm noticing, their style. And like I said, I'm trying to play off it a little bit because it works.
Right.
Not the communication. That's where I want to go a step above, which I think they can do. But I think that's why they take a small deposit. So if somebody's not hip to it in 2 or 3 months, they can just refund them that money real quick. And it's not a big deal. Because Classic Shields makes money, ORM does. But if they got to give you back $1,500, I mean, I'm sure they don't want to do that, more than once.
Right. All right. So let's talk about pricing. Hold on one second. Let me see what Vinny, you got. I'm telling you, man, every photo in these videos, these little video packages, I want every belt. When you see the type of beauty that you see, you're like, give me that one. I want that. I don't even know what half the fucking belts are that they post pictures of, but I still want it because it just looks so gorgeous, but they'll get you. You know what? Pictures are everything, man. Anyone that takes pictures of their work and it's far away, when you get the zoomed in,
right,
and you see the details, you see the deepness of the etching and the globe and the feathers, that's where you're really confident in your work. You know what I mean? You don't give a fuck. You say, look at anything I'm doing. It's the best.
Right.
Let's look at pricing.
This is for ORM.
This is for ORM. Okay. Single layer with strap. This is as of yesterday. Okay.
So I'm guessing on this, because I know he doesn't have a set price that he has out. This is just the average that you're getting from people, or from ORM himself?
No, this is as of yesterday from ORM himself. Okay. This is the latest pricing I could get. Single layer is $650. Okay. Now compare that to Classic Shields, $850. All right. So you're saving $200 there with going with an SD belt. Okay. Now HD is the difference. Okay. HD is $1,450 with him, whereas $950 with Classic Shields. So you actually have two options here as of right now. Say you wanted to just get a standard single layer belt. Well, then, you're most likely inclined to go with ORM because he's only $650, right? And you get the best leather in the game, as far as overseas leather, the best leather in the game. And it's $200 less than Classic Shields. Now, if you want to go HD, you're more inclined, of course, to go with Classic Shields because it's a big difference. Now, do you know the difference here with the HD, why it's so much higher? Is because he outsources it, correct, Eddie?
That's absolutely correct.
Now, with outsourcing, that means he has to send it off, has to get someone to get it done, wait for it to come back, right?
This is a perfect example of kind of the backwards the way that the Classic Shields does it. Classic has everything in-house. So what's another $100? They're using the same equipment. They're using the same plates, the same zinc, the plate, same everything. What is it for me to just stick it on the table, get it done easy for an extra $100? So they still make money that way because they know either way. Now ORM's wanting you to probably get the standard definition because he can do it in-house right now instead of outsourcing it, costs him more money. But I'm sure he'll fix that down the road. And I imagine I'm going to venture that the HD is going to go down when he's able to do it in-house, whenever that is.
Right. Yeah, and I'm sure it's expensive for him to do. But there's more news coming up on that. So these prices could likely change pretty soon. And we'll get to that in a little bit. Let me see. Now, what's the difference between SD and HD? Would that Big Eagle be an HD? The one that I have is an SD. Okay.
Right.
The basic difference is HD, and correct me if I'm wrong, Eddie, it's just deeper etching. Right, it's more detailed etching.
It's more calculated because the machine does it, and of course you have you got the deeper, perfect cuts. That's the difference with etching. like say for instance, the wrestlers could look a little sloppy opposed to HD. They're going to be perfect.
Right. It's like going from a VHS to a Blu-ray. You know, you could still, the movie's still good, right?
Classic Shields, it'd be more like a Blu-ray to a cool DVD, I would think, or vice versa. Opposed to if you're talking a normal etch, you know, a normal person like the middle class makers. Now,
yeah, I know what you mean. Yep.
There's a huger, you know, there's a huger gap, bigger gap, as I would
and even
say.
like the letters, you know, like when there's really, really small writing on a plate in HD, you can read it crystal clear. It's perfect. You know, it really is incredible how nice the HD belts look, you know. And when this first dropped, it wasn't really that big, Eddie. Now it's starting to really become kind of a wave here, right?
The collectors evolve as well as the makers. Ethan's asking if you can read the small lettering. Perfect example on an ORM belt. You know, the little what do you call it? The little weird saying that they have on the side, big eagle plate. What's their crest? You know, on their crest. On a standard definition, you can't read it so much. But on the HD, you can read it perfect. So, you know, ORM though you can read real well. You know, I mean, ORM's great work already. So, you know, it's a little bit of an improvement, still a great improvement, but you're improving from something that's already great. It's like I said, not so much like another maker here where it'd be like way up here.
Communication. You went a little bit in on that. I've had some communication with ORM, and he's fantastic.
Right.
I mean, I've messaged him here and there just to bullshit, you know, just to ask questions, and he gets right back to me, man. I mean, within that day. You know, sometimes I'm sure the time difference, he's sleeping or whatever, but I try not to bother him. But if he can get back to me, he'll get back to me within that day. He is really, really good at just having a conversation that's not in regards to belts, just in general, you know, weather, his cars, you know, my cars, you know, stuff like that. We'll just bullshit. He's awesome. He's an awesome guy. Like you said, he had some shit happen in the past, but I think we all have. You know, we've all said some not nice things. You know, we've all done some things we wish we could take back, but I've noticed, especially on his page, you know, it's about business, it's about the brand, it's about belts, it's about quality, you know, and I think that's what it needs to be about, especially if you're running a business or a brand online. You know, it needs to be about building that brand, building that business, and making it the best it can be. And to keep all that negativity and that fucking distraction outside of it. You know what I mean? In the hobby, same thing. You know, have the groups network together, have the groups, you know, get rid of that negativity, have people push them out, you know, and keep it clean and keep it enjoyable for everybody. But go ahead.
I feel the same way about ORM. To answer Matt Panetta's question, yeah, you get some wavy plates sometimes, but as far as ORM getting back to me, it's great, man. It's as great as it can possibly be. Now I know he has gotten back to other people that message him, and he just lets them know that it's in process. Because there's really not so much. If somebody's messaging him all the time, he might not be able to get them the answer they want. But I mean, he is responding, and I've been hearing that from a lot of people that he's been responding, which wasn't the case. I want to say 3 years ago, 4 years ago. It was totally different with his. And it hurt him. It actually hurt him for a while. The group I was in, Wrestling Belt Reviews, first group I was ever in, great group with Steven Smith, Jamie G, and all them. ORM was kicked out of that group because of that whole situation, and he was thought of as great maker, but you know, excuse my language, they thought he's an asshole at that time. And that's not the guy that I know now. The guy I know now is a class act.
Great
talks
guy.
About everything. Great to talk to. He's just, when you get on that classic Shields or you get on that high level, even like with Mian, with the amount of orders that we have, once you get to a certain level, you know, he's adapting to it right now, and he's getting the equipment, he's putting the money back in, and as good as he is, he's going to get better. And if we're having this conversation next year, all these kinks, I believe that he's going to fix, and I believe that the problem is going to be fixed. If you want to nitpick the problem here, you know, it was with the time frame differences that from what he says to what actually happens. We know, but new guys coming in, like I said, even for classic Shields, it's not something they want to experience. That, you know, that they don't know that that's going to happen. If I'm new to the hobby and you tell me 60 days, like you said, I expect 60 days, not 10 months. So that can sour somebody right away. And that's the problem in some of these pages. People are just putting classic Shields, ORM, classic Shields, ORM, but not why. Why do I go to them? You know, explain the goods and the bad. And too many people some people are commenting on those posts that they never even had either of them, but they're just going along because they think it's cool.
pictures,
But,
you know.
yeah, exactly.
The thing with his time frames are, in my opinion, don't believe anything that these guys say.
I joke with them. I joke with all of them about it. I'm like, come on, man, don't give me the 60-day little spiel.
Yeah, don't do that. Here's the thing, especially with, I spoke to him today a little bit. I'm sure he's watching the show. He knew the show was coming up, and I asked him. I was like, I'll just give you a little bit of what he said. He told me he's still finishing orders from November, December, right?
Mhm.
And then when COVID hit in March, okay, it put a standstill on everything. He had to stop
Right.
everything, right? So not only do you have a stop on everything, but then you have people getting government assistance, that
Right.
extra, money in your unemployment, right? And people are like, holy shit, I got some extra cash. I'm in a hobby here. I could put some cash into this hobby. He
Right.
said he got huge influx of orders during the time he had to stop working.
Right.
So now you have the stuff he's finishing from November, December, and then you have a whole new load of orders on top of that. I'm expecting to wait 8 to 9 months.
And exactly. I'm glad you brought the COVID up, because a lot of people, they're still recovering from that. A lot of makers are barely getting back into the swing of it, back from April, May, around that time. ORM being the same, Mian too. We were on a roll about that time, and we were at a standstill where we couldn't get, crucial stuff, to be able to complete a lot of these orders. And I heard someone say in some post somewhere where, you should stop taking orders. Nothing completely got shut down. I mean, there was like Mian, as far as like Mian's from Komoki, he's not near Salcott. Salcott like got hit hard. They had military there. No, they weren't allowed to leave the house at one point. Okay, in Komoki we had just a curfew over there, so he was able to still work. There were still some places open, and when these makers got a chance, they tried to get what they could get done, but it slowed down tremendously. If not for people like ORM and Mian that are in Salcott, it stopped completely at times. Right. So if they're still getting orders, like I have people now, like we're busy, and I'm just using this as an example for these guys. I'll be like, well, we got a minimum time frame of this, and this. I just want you to understand we're real busy. And they're still like, here, I still want to order with you because I know I'm going to get great work. And that's what they do with them. I think the problem is 50% of them don't realize when you say something like that, the maker, you guys are in agreement, you understand it's busy, then you shouldn't. 50% of those people will haggle them later and say, well, it's taking too long. Well, you understood when you ordered, what was going on right now. I know them. Mm-hmm. I ordered during the COVID time from Classic Shields, and they told me, they're like, I can't really, we'll start it when we can, we can't leave the house. Like, they were real with me about that. And I respected that. I got off the phone, I called Josh Hammer. I was like, man, they were cool as hell to me this time. And that's not what I got 3 years ago. Right. I got a cocky person that didn't care if I had, his money or not. Now I have someone that actually gave me a business-like approach. But ORM, on the other hand, I feel like, like it's my brother. I'm talking to a brother. Like that's someone, like a good conversation with, and that he has that head over shoulders over Classic Shields does with that. His communication is extremely better, and I'll give it to him. Almost 10, a perfect 10 on communication. Now, the quality of communication he's giving some people, he might not have the answer for his plates when, outsources a lot. Everyone wants HD now, so he has to get that from somewhere else. So he's begging them, hey, when's my work going to be done? He doesn't know when it's going to get down here. I mean, I think that's a big problem. The HD, once it's in house, I think a lot of ORM's problems will be corrected.
Right. And like you said, everyone wants the HD now. I mean, I feel like the HD time is now. Right. A lot of people, once they saw that difference, and before, when HD first came out, it was so much more expensive.
Right.
Wasn't it? I mean, it was like, $1,800, $2,000.
It was it was like
HD.
It was like an expensive DVD player back in the day, man. I mean, it was $800, and now it's affordable. And yeah, Matt says ORM's profile got shut down, and that did, it impeded some stuff as well.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that could definitely help with that. The HD, SD, you guys saw from my Big Eagle, man. I mean, HD is nice. Don't get me wrong. But even an SD belt, if it's done right, and it's etched well and it's made well,
Right.
you're still going to get a fantastic product. And I mean, some of the real belts that you see on TV, I don't think they're HD. They look SD to me, especially when they zoom in on them and stuff. The HD is just for those people who want perfection. Some people like to have a certain type on display,
Right.
Just something that's perfect. Like you were telling me about the AEW, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they do. They look better than the actual thing.
All right.
You were telling me HD, like I showed you my plates, my AEW plates when they were in polishing, right? But anyway, and you told me, dude, it's too perfect.
Right.
It's too perfect. And then you're like, then I looked at photos of the actual AEW World Championship with yours, and yours look identical, right? There's these little imperfections on the actual AEW title. It's not perfect.
I'll tell you something that AEW did, better than probably any other Fed, company, whatever you want to call them. They hid their belt picks. They didn't really give you too much of any of their belts. It was hard to find picks. I know the women's is almost impossible. We have a couple that we're unveiling soon, but actually getting good picks is hard of the AEW women's. The TNT kind of easy. Ron Edwardson put that out. He put the tags out. The heavyweight was hard to get for a while, so a lot of people didn't actually get to see what it looked like. And I think Stephen Hammer, I want to say Stephen Hammer put a post up. Shout out to him. He put I think a Mateen maybe, a classic, no, a Milliken, a Mateen, and a Mian. They were comparing them because those were the ones that came out with them first. Some other people have, recently, but it's that those were the first. And people looked at it and they're like, wow, I thought Mian just made a mistake there. That's actually what the belt looks like, the real one. So I was like, yeah, I mean, it's not a perfect, it's a beautiful belt, but I mean, if you look at it for what it is, I mean, it's great. Dave Milliken made it. He didn't take 10 years on it, but he got the quality in there. No, just kidding, man. I know Rusty Miller, a lot of guys out there watching, Milliken, just like everyone else, he got caught in the trap. He got too busy and, too many orders, and some people let him down, so no, just a whole nother story with that. But, as far as, people just get busy, man. Busy.
Now I got to say, you guys, that's what really made you blow up, wasn't it? The AEW, you guys were the first to really nail that thing.
When I started, when me and Mian made me a couple belts, just off the subject a little bit, an IWGP and a UFC, like I talked about, stacked. Communication, which I'm glad I'm with him now, was horrible. I didn't hear nothing from him at all for 4 months. Nothing. I did nothing at all. I was actually to a point where I was, about to blast him on the pages. Like, I
get nervous there. Yeah, getting nervous.
I was like, God dang it, I got told to come here and blah, blah, blah. And then I got the belts. He goes, oh, sorry, brother, I've been busy. He's kind of like, and this is the difference. Some guys like to, to give updates and blah, blah, blah. I think updates, too many is ridiculous to expect to anybody that makes quality. Right. Asking for updates all the time is ridiculous. And I'll tell people that now, even for us. When we have them, we give them. But I think like ORM, Classic Shields, Mian, a couple of other guys, Nawaz, they just want to get the work done and get it out to you, right. And they only have so many hours in the day, especially during the COVID, to actually work on your stuff. So they don't want to man all these. It could take a whole 8-hour shift for people to to get back to all these people that are messaging. Hey, can I see my etched plates? Can I see my artwork? Can I see my leather? And it's okay if it's just a couple, but when you get into the 3 digits with people, then it's mind-boggling. Like George Waddell of Budapest Belts, asked me, he goes, how many orders you have? And I told him, we had a few hundred. And he's like, God, I'd lose my mind with that. And, of course he wants to get there too, and they will. They do great work as well. But with us, man, I told him, did you make those belts? First of all, I was like, did you just, because, some of those makers overseas, as all of us know, they might buy the plates here, the leather here, the stamp here. They might not actually do the work. Right. And he said, yeah, he said he went to school and blah, blah, blah. Great, best guy I've ever met over there. Love Mian, that's my brother. But I told him that, the AEW was coming out. I'm like, I know a few people that we have the inside track. We can probably get a good picture of that belt, or as good as we can possibly that we'll be able to get. I think we should make that belt. I think if we do it decent enough and we get it out first, we could sell enough of those to get all your other work noticed.
At this time, was anyone else doing the AEW or no? It was nobody was doing it at the time.
Here's the thing. ORM, I think ORM was going to try it at one time and then turned out he didn't. Classic Shields till this year didn't start it. And they have other stuff. They didn't really need it. It's not something high on the priority.
It's more of a one-off for them, I would guess, because everyone wants their winged eagle, their big gold, stuff like that.
Well, that's like ORM. ORM has, wing eagles, big eagles, and a certain group of belts that he makes, and he's known for his wing eagle. His WrestleMania 4, his Bret Hart, all of them. He's known for the wing eagle. So people go to him for the wing eagle or the big eagle too. So I mean, he could, if he just made
big eagle, it's beautiful.
Right. If he just made the big eagle and wing eagle, he'd probably still make a great living. But anyway, that was like with us. A couple came out. A Mateen one came out, and I think a couple other ones. Mateen, it was his first go around with it, so there was some things that weren't, perfect. But he didn't have the source that I had to get the better specs on it. So he does great work. Mateen just didn't have enough to go on by that point. And the other ones were just like dog shit on eBay. So we came out with the first decent one, and then as we start getting more picks, we were able to upgrade and just get better quicker than the other guys that were starting from square one. And of course, I had a couple ace in the holes that had pictures of the AEW that I was able to see. Right. So it worked, man. And I didn't expect us. We wanted to sell 15 to 30 belts a month when we first started. That was our goal. So I mean, sometimes we do that in a week now.
It's incredible, man. I mean,
we can live off the. That's it. We wouldn't need to make anything else, and we'd still be fine.
Yeah, your AEW is phenomenal. I always see, if you go into a group page, right, and you do 3 scrolls, you're going to see somebody posing with their Mian AEW. It's just all over the place, and everyone loves it. I never see someone, this Mian AEW suck. You never see that, ever. I see other AEWs that suck, where there's too much glue, or the plating's bad, or the bolts are off. You see a lot of that stuff, but with a Mian, dude, everyone is happy, and that's what it's about, getting something that people are happy with. And I'll tell you one thing right now, if in 6 months, I contact Classic Shields and my belt's still in etching, I'm gonna just tell them to cancel, put the money towards the winged eagle, and I'll call you for the plates and get it that way. But let me move on here with ORM. We're sticking with ORM, by the way, and a little bit of Classic Shields. But I'm going to have a guest on to discuss his belts, the ones that he owns, because you guys are here for belts, right? You want to see these things. But before I do, let me show you mine real quick, because I showed you my Classic Shields. And Eddie, do you have an ORM you could show to the people?
Not here. It's at my office at work. All right.
So I'm going to show you mine. Then I got a couple people that are going to show you theirs. All right. Here we go. I don't know if some of you have seen this video. It was posted on his ORM's page. He loved it so much. But this is my undisputed V1 again. Purchased secondhand, which is the best way to go if you can. It's from the same guy who sold me the Big Eagle Classic Shield. Same dude. He took care of me. This is my V1 Undisputed SD. Okay. Once again, SD.
Nice.
Look at that.
There's nothing wrong with SD. I just think it's one of those. It's one of those high school things to where you got to have the best shoes, and because I see a lot of people like show their belts and they're like, "Oh, that's SD." Like God forbid you have an SD belt, because look at that. That's you're not going to get anything remotely like that.
Look at the tooling and the leather. The WWF logo.
Right.
Let's see if I can get you the other side here.
And that's good detail and thickness on a belt that is kind of hard for some people to nail. To get, because it's one of those belts that you need solid etching, or it's going to look too flat on the main plate. So that's what I like about that one. Even the letter.
That's one thing I do need. Stephen Hammer, you're right. I do need a nameplate for this, because it was the previous owner's nameplate that was on it, and I need to get one. So we'll see. I talked to Omi about that, by the way.
There you go.
That's in the works. But that is my ORM belt. Now I'd like to bring on a guest of mine, a friend of mine. Ethan Thompson. If you've seen Ethan around online, you know he buys nothing but the best. And he actually undercut me for my Classic Shields Winged Eagle I was going to buy off of somebody, that fucking piece of shit. Here he is, but we became really, really good friends through that whole process. Ethan, welcome to the show, and unmute yourself. Unmute yourself so I can hear you talk shit.
Was this about you're talking about?
Yes, that beautiful. Let me get you on a fuller screen here. Hold on. There you go.
The most beautiful winged eagle.
Now, which one is this, Ethan?
It's kind of a mashup. It's mostly WrestleMania 4.
Yeah.
With the 8mm bars. I go with the 8mm bars just because it looks better. It doesn't look as cheap, in my opinion. Yeah, see, they know the winged eagle.
Everyone knows your winged eagle that you have. And what else do you have from these guys that we're discussing?
So, sticking with CS, I got the V2.
That's new, right? You just got that one?
No, that's the V1. I got the ORM V1.
Okay.
So this is the Monster V2. And that's the little differences with ORMs versus Classic Shields. So, like, I've never seen anybody on Classic Shields. So they're stone settings. It's little details I like. It might not seem big to a lot of people, but it's so their stone settings are screwed in.
Look at that, dude.
You just screw them in and unscrew them in. Still little differences, but I mean, this belt is a monster. This belt's like a 13, 14 pound belt.
Wow.
Versus like what you got right now. New acquisition. Got the V1.
That's the V1 by ORM, right?
Yep. The SD V1.
That's the one I got. Yeah.
Yep.
And I mean, it's beautiful, dude. It's gorgeous.
Yeah. Just perfect belts. I mean, they're perfect belts. And then I have 2 on order from Classic Shields. I do have another big eagle from ORM, but it's one of his older ones where he wasn't quite plating the sides all the way down. So I like what I like. You know what I mean?
Now, with the with between the two, okay, what would you say? Who would you say has the best leather out of those two belts? Say that the two undisputeds. All right. Because Classic Shields leather is dope, bro.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad at all. Like I'm not a leather snob. I wish I was, but if I had to give it to anybody, I still give it to ORM. It seems like he has a little bit more detail in the finish. So I mean, I just give it to ORM on that.
I'm telling you, bro, the leather that I have on my ORM, it really does kill the leather on the Classic Shields. It's the softness of it, how soft it is. It's just beautiful. The tooling, it's gorgeous. I think ORM is the best when it comes to that.
Yeah, see, when I go to my winged eagle though, like the winged eagle, I mean the soft, I mean it's hard to see, but I mean it just flops. I mean literally just flops. I mean it's the nicest winged eagle I've seen on anything. Just I love it.
Now, you said you had a couple on order, correct?
Yes, I got two on order from Classic Shields and 1 from Omi.
Okay, let's start with Classic Shields. All right, what has communication been like, and what has wait time been like?
I think I ordered mine a couple weeks, month after you on your winged eagle. I ordered a white, all gold winged eagle.
So in April, you would say? April.
Yeah, April I ordered. I was quoted 3 to 4 months. And so I checked back in 3 to 4 months. And they're like, it's in etching. Okay. So then I updated I did update my order, just the tip. I switched the tip. I wanted the diamond tip. And he was like, "Oh, it's in etching still." I'm like, okay. And then I had placed an order about 2 months ago for a Classic IC. And then it was, well, your winged eagle's about to go to etching. And I'm like, well, I sent a message. I was like, well, this winged eagle was already in etching, you said, but it is what it is.
Mhm.
My whole thing is, for me, is like, if it's going to be 8 months, just tell me 8 months and I'll kick rocks.
Mhm.
I got no problem with that. Same thing with Orm. Orm posted up some big eagles, and it was, well, hey, 30 days. They're already in processing. 30 days.
Mhm.
Cool, no problem. I hit him up in 45. Still a little ways out. Okay, hit him up again a couple days ago. 2 to 3 weeks. Like, just let me know, bro.
Mhm.
I have no problem with the wait. I'm an impatient guy by nature, but just let me know. I got no problems.
Like
Just
if he
give me-
told you had to wait 10 months, a year, you'd have no problem. I mean, I wouldn't.
Yeah, because the experience when you open a ORM or a Classic Shields, there is no apprehension of what you're getting. You're gonna pull it out of that box, and you're gonna be in love.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the comfort in going with them. But
Right.
you got to deal with the wait time.
You just got to know, regardless of what they say, regardless of the time frame they give you, you're going to be waiting quite a long time, especially with everything with the COVID and all that. A lot of them are backed up. So just go into it knowing you're going to get a perfect product. Okay. Right. But there is a wait involved. So just be mindful.
We joke about it all the time. I mean, I hope I get my winged eagle by 2021 sometime.
I say I can't wait for 2024 Christmas. I'm getting my AEW,
and that's the thing, is just like, but you won't the thing is, people need to understand is you won't be disappointed.
No,
you just won't.
Not at all. Right. Not at all. And I could absolutely say that 100%.
And for me, being in the belt hobby for not that long, you get a lot of disappointments when you buy certain belts.
Right.
And that's why I stick with what I stick with now. It's not snobby or anything. It's just I can order it, pull it out of the box, and know 100%
what it's supposed
I'm
to
getting.
Be. Right.
Yeah.
But you, Ethan, at the same time, you tell the pros and cons. The problem is a lot of these guys just tell the pros and not the cons. And
100%.
And that's the big problem.
They all have their. I know Orm's got his guys. Classic Shield's got his guys. Right. It's like it's the Coke versus Pepsi.
Right.
That it's what it is. If Orm's prices were more in line with Classic Shields on the HD version, Orm's gonna probably blow him out of the water because of the leather.
And his communication's better. Communication's better.
I can't say I've messaged Orm one time and he's ghosted me.
Yeah.
Not once.
Yep. He is a really, really good dude. And who knows, that may be changing really soon. We'll find out. Ethan, thank you. I got another person here I'm going to bring up. One of my best friends, one of my brothers. Here he is. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, I bring to you Jay Cross, baby. There he is. Jay, how are you?
My God.
Thank you for having me. How you guys doing?
We're doing good, bro. We're doing good. We're waiting to see what the fuck you got.
Oh, man. Listen, I love this conversation. I don't have a Classic Shields, but I do have an Omi. I've placed 2 orders with Classic Shields, and I have 1 order from Omi coming. But in my opinion, with what and you guys see all the belts I have here. I mean, it's just, my house is built on belts. And there is a video of me and Vince, and I'm opening this belt up.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I am normally the guy who, because I have so many and I'm so used to it, I buy a belt, I obsess over it, track it till it gets here. Then it gets here, I open it, put it on the shelf. It's done. On to the next belt.
That's this
me. One, no.
Like Eddie, yeah.
Eddie, I opened this one up, and I was just like, this is it. This is the belt. This is the actual belt that cut Stone Cold Steve Austin. This is the actual belt. And to this day, since then I have said it, I think that Omi is the best maker in the world, hands down. And I've seen other people's work. I think, other people have great work, but it's just amazing quality. The leather, the plates, the attention to detail. And I found out this a few weeks ago from him, and then Vinny confirmed it today, that he inspects every single belt that leaves his place. That's insane. And the amount of belts that he makes is insane. And the passion that he has for it. Because if someone doesn't have a passion for it, it's not going to be good, right? But this guy has the passion for it. And now I'm hoping that my Classic Shields comes. They said 5 to 6 months, but Eddie, I know that's going to be like 2 years. But, beggars can't be choosers. I come from the same school as Eddie does. I order a belt, I pay for it, and then I forget about it. It comes when it comes, man. I got more important shit to be dealing with, man. Like I got other things to be worrying about than like constantly hackling someone for a belt. And I know you've paid your money and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, I think once you get that belt, all that goes away. Right. Because not once have I seen either a video or a picture of his work, and I go, yeah, it looks like shit. And Classic Shields too. All of their work that I've seen, I look at it and I go, well, that looks amazing. There are other makers that you can just point out, this is wrong, this is wrong. Oh, that's wavy. The paint's all messed up here. And these guys are perfectionists. Right. So yeah, their communication could be better. But I think at the end of the day, I would rather them be working. And Eddie, you have said this a lot on your show. I'd rather those guys be working than sitting at a computer responding to me.
All right.
I'd rather have them be working. Price-wise, I mean, me as a customer, the way I do it is you go standard with Omi, okay? Because it's $650 for a single layer that you're going to get perfection. But if you're going to go HD, right now, Omi outsources his HD. That's $1,450. Where Classic Shields, you're going to get a great product as well, $950. So that's the way I do it. Everyone has their own preference. I mean, I have an IWGP V3 coming in from them, HD, and a Scratch Big Eagle HD coming from them. And I hit them up. It took them like 2 days to contact me back because it was over the weekend. And maybe they're like us. They don't work on the weekends. They don't have to. But when he hits me up, he says, yeah, I'll take $100 deposit for the V3. 2 days later, because I have no shame in myself and I should stop myself from buying more things, I said, I want an HD Big Eagle. I contacted him. He said, you don't need to give me a deposit. I already got you the deposit for the 100. All set. So waiting on that, I have an NWA Luger coming in from Omi. Again, great communication. I asked him to do a little bit something extra on the belt for me. So he's working on that. But I've had nothing but good experiences with them. But I do see the issue with, saying it's going to be 60 days and then it takes 5 months. I'd rather you tell me right up front, like, hey, man, it's going to be like a year. I go, hey, okay. Like, and me, right. Again, hey, I'm like Eddie. I don't care about the time. Here's my money. Yep. When you send it to me, it's going to look great. That's all I care about. So before I leave out of here, let me show you guys.
Yeah, let me see this shit, bro.
Oh, bro, it's amazing. Look at that.
Stingy with that. There you. Oh my God. You see that property play, bull?
It's beautiful.
Woo!
That's perfect.
It's beautiful, and it just
dies.
It just dies right there, and it feels good over the shoulder. There is no paint missing. It always comes out looking good. I know that's their issues, but at the end of the day, I think all that goes away when you get the product in your hand and you know it's perfect.
Exactly.
Agreed.
Jay, thank you so much, bro.
Hey, thank you for having me on.
Thank you.
No problem.
And I will be talking to you guys probably tonight in chat. See you guys.
Take care.
Later. Bye-bye. Everyone give him a round of applause. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Well, we've gone over both Classic Shields and ORM. We've talked about the pros and cons of getting from these makers, and I think we've given a lot of you guys some information to sit down and really go over and make your decision. I do have one more announcement for you guys. A little bit of a special announcement. Pounding the Meat is every Friday at 8 o'clock. Right now, it's every Friday, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. So tonight we did the ORM versus Classic Shields. Next week, live, I will be sitting down with the man himself, Omi. We will be going over how he got into this, how his process works, what he does, why he's so good, and what his passion is for this. Once again, Pounding the Meat next Friday, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern sharp. I will be sitting down with the man himself, Omi, and just having a conversation with him, and just asking the questions that people want to know. Send me your questions, guys. If you can, go to Pounding the Meat on Facebook or PM me. And if you want to know something, or if you have a question that's just burning, send it to me, man. He's a really cool dude. I spoke with him today, and he is so excited for this. He wants to talk to you guys. He wants to answer questions. He wants to show some of his stuff, what he does, and what he creates. And it's more than just belts. He's a really cool dude. So I'm excited for this one. I think this will be a great episode. And once again, very informative and something hopefully you guys enjoy, because I'm just trying to bring content that you guys enjoy, and something for a Friday night, especially during this COVID thing, that where you can sit down and watch some content. But yeah, next Friday, Pounding the Meat, 8 o'clock, Omi live. Eddie, is there anything else you want to say before we get out of here?
Yeah, I mean, just do the tail. I want to do a tail of the tape real quick here on the end, just to kind of like get everything together that we talked about.
Round it up.
Just my opinion. Okay, obviously the plates are better with Classic Shields overall, and I say that because their repertoire is a little bit higher than Omi as far as the plates. Now the leather, I'm going to give to Omi. I think his leather work is still better. I think Classic Shields has improved a lot in the last year. As far as customer service, I'm going to give it to ORM as well. Okay, because ORM is better overall with his customer service. The price in regards to HD, obviously, it's going to Classic Shields, but that's because they have in-house. When Omi is able to get HD equipment as well, he's going to kind of narrow the gap with that. But I think a little bit of an experience, a little bit more of an array of belts like casting and other stuff, if he's able to do that down the road, I think he's going to be right up there with him. I give the slight edge to Classic Shields, only just because they've been around longer. Their experience is a little more. But I love Omi. If I was to get a Winged Eagle, I'm going to get it from Omi. If I'm going to get a Big Eagle, I'm going to get it from Omi. If I'm going to get a tag belt, I'm going to get from him. There's just different belts. I actually went to, if I didn't buy the Classic Shields Crumrine, I was going to get one from him. I was going to order, his. That's how much I think of his Big Gold. Now the United National, I actually went to ORM first, but it wasn't something that's in his repertoire that he's able to do right now. So that's why I went to Classic Shields. But overall, I see them like this probably by this time next year if we're talking. I think he's going to keep getting better and better and better, like a lot of these other makers are. Little edge to Classic Shields for now.
Gotcha. And dude, I always love having you on here. You're a wealth of knowledge and fun to do podcasts with. And once again, Eddie, I appreciate your time being here tonight. And big things coming your way. With what do you have coming up?
We have, of course, the 963 podcast going to be doing. That's just everything in the world, everything from science, to sports, to conspiracies, to everything like that. I'm going to have, and I know Vinny's going to help me work on that as well.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I love everybody here, with Pounding the Meat, Jay, Mike, you, all class acts. As far as Mian Belts, we do have the CNC machine that we purchased in-house. We have our own plating now, which cuts our time frames down. We don't have to depend on somebody else to get our work. And we're going to have some true HD about January. So
Awesome.
I'm excited for all that. We're kind of adapting to our situation. The COVID's kind of died down. As you've seen, we're pumping out a lot more work right now. So what gets lost by the wayside with Classic Shields, ORM, you can say Mian, Mateen, the Waz, all these guys, they're really busy with a lot of work. You know, they get tons and tons of orders. So I think they're doing the best they can, but I think where they all lack is communication overall, and just pure honesty about the situation. I think if they do that, I think once they break that barrier, you know, overseas overall is going to be a fun experience for everybody.
Right. And I can agree with you on that. Absolutely. Because you guys, man, you guys are doing big things. Classic Shields doing big things. A lot of makers are doing really, really big things. And I see nothing but good things happening in the future, to be honest with you.
Me too.
That's it for tonight, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, we had a huge crowd tonight. I mean, it was awesome. Everyone just chilling with us and having a good time. Nando, thank you. Thank you so much. You know, we're just trying to make cool stuff. That's it. John, thank you so much. Duarte, you're the fucking man. Love you, brother. And once again, next Friday, guys, 8:00. It'll be advertised this whole week. Omi, the man, the quote best maker in the world, is going to be sitting down with me and having a conversation. Until next time, check out poundingthemeat.com. That's our YouTube, and also at Pounding the Meat for all of our social medias, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. We're always posting stuff in regards to movies, belt hobby stuff, wrestling stuff, and pretty soon some more things. It's coming. But October, once again, our theme is Child's Play, Chucky. There's some really cool stuff planned for October to fit that theme, and in regards to, you know, product and shows and all that kind of stuff. So we got that coming. Until next time, thank you guys so much for joining me. I'm Vinny Vegas, this is Eddie Williams, and this was Pounding the Meat. Have a good night, everybody. Take care.
Take care, guys.